It's time to dish once again with the Paddock Prince, Ed DeRosa in Louisville, David Levitch in Oldham County, and both of us very much looking forward to the road to the Kentucky Derby, which David does seem to begin in earnest about this time. Triple Crown noms are out. Risen Stars the first race with 50 points to the winner, and most importantly, your first top 10 list of the year.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. This is the first. I wouldn't say the grade threes are all preps. I mean, not preps, but when you get to the 50 pointers, you start to see more horses come out of the woodwork, horses coming off layoffs. The fields get deeper. The Risen Star is 14 horses in the race. Looks like a really good race. And then obviously going forward, we'll have the Rebel next week, and it looks like everything's starting to heat up. And yeah, my Derby top 10 list, I don't know. It's a little early, but I do think this year it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Baffert horses, obviously. But there does seem to be some really good horses this year. I'm a little better, I feel like, this year at this time than it was last year.
As in the crop, and we will take a look at your top 10 here very shortly. Do want to tease, we'll mention it later. We're going to be back later this week with a look at that pick five at Aqueduct on Friday. Huge carryover in the early pick five, just 15% takeout. So that is definitely the sequence for me.
Second one of the year.
Pick five. What's that?
Second pick five carryover of the year at Aqueduct. The early pick five carryover, isn't it? Yeah, with the other. Yeah, that's a miracle. That's very rare.
Very rare. They get the big pools, but it was tough to solve on Sunday. We'll try to figure it out Friday. So separate video for that. This one's all about looking ahead to the Derby. We'll take a look at the Risen Star. But first, we are going to look at David's top 10. And I got to be honest, I have a hard time really picking apart anything here. I guess you could make a case for probably any one of the top three being in the top spot. But I think you have the third choice, I guess, Tapit Trice of those three up there, number one. And I can't fault you for it.
Yeah, I mean, Forte, I saw he closed as the shortest price in the latest Derby futures or whatever you want to call it. I gotta say, they don't have great records coming back as a 2-year-old champion. So obviously, I guess he's the most accomplished horse coming of the year. You won't see him till the Fountain of Youth, but it's an early list. I think Tapit Trice he's obviously got to improve, but his allowance when going a mile was really, really good. And I'm not a big gallop out person, but the farther the stretch, he just looked like he was good, climbing and going and going. So I think he's a horse that's really going to improve at the distance. I think Arabian Night's the most talented horse in the crop, but I'm taking the Bafferts with a little grain of salt this year if he's not the trainer, because last year he had a couple horses in the Derby. Taba was being asked a lot, and Messier was a horse with a good chance, but they didn't fare great. So I'm going to take the Bafferts with a little grain of salt this year. And obviously Cox has a big hand with Hit Show, Instant Coffee. I didn't put Victory Formation on there because I got to see it against a better field, but he has a good chance in the Risen Star this weekend. So I think there's a lot of talented horses.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on Baffert, which I admit a little unfair. I mean, it was just literally one sample size of a year, and very unique situation with him not being able to train at Churchill Downs incorporated racetracks, including Churchill itself and the Derby. But that was not great what we saw from Messier and Taba. Now Taba, the Justify situation, he actually started his career the first week of March. So when he runs in the Saudi Cup next week, he will not even have been racing for a full calendar year. So very much up against it. Messier, on the other hand, looked like a typical Baffert Derby contender, especially from further back when he would win with horses who didn't necessarily have to win every race, like Silver Charm and Real Quiet. And he laid an egg and hasn't been the same since. So when it comes to taking a short price, I'm sort of with you on that. Is in the back of my head. But I was there for the Southwest, and Arabian Night, he looked awesome.
Yeah, I think he's the most talented horse in the group in terms of just raw ability. But Baffert, I guess the ruling's coming up. Looks like he might have to transfer his horses even earlier this year, which last year he basically just shipped him to a different trainer for the last prep. So this year, if they make him switch March 1st, it's going to be even a little more hard for me to trust some of those horses. And then you had horses like Skinner this past weekend for John Sheriffs that ran a 95 buyer. He's a horse to watch. King's Barn ran an 85 at Tampa. So looks like there's a lot of horses that obviously are not on my list that have good chances to do well in the preps going forward.
Yep. And speaking of not on your list, totally missing, despite 14 being in the Risen Star, not a one of these is in your top 10 yet. But the good thing about the Risen Star being first on the list is you sort of can wait and see, as you noted, with a horse like Victory Formation, maybe two fills. He'll definitely need to improve off the Lecomte, not impossible. Certainly a deep field, but I do agree with you. None of these, as of yet, seem like a top 10 contender to me.
No, and there's the number 5 horse, Harlow Cap, is the first horse that's been transferred from Baffert. He'll be running for Steve Asmussen, even though his last work was at Santa Anita. So basically, they're shipping him over with a different trainer labeled. So I don't know if you take that as a good sign. They must think he's doing well and they want to get the points now, or they're just going to leave him with Asmussen. I'm guessing they'll leave him with Asmussen after the race, but he is the first Baffert horse that's been switched. Yeah, I think this race looks really good as a betting race. I think like in Victory Formation, he didn't beat much in his last race, but he didn't draw great in here, but he does have some ability. So I need to see some of these horses do it. Then maybe they'll make, my top 10 list. Curly Jack comes back off the layoff, who last was seen at Churchill in the Jockey Club. So there's a lot of good horses in this race that could get in the top 10 going forward.
Yep, and whoever does win, regardless if they get a 70 buyer or a 110, will be in the Derby because 50 points definitely
Yep.
enough no matter what. And second, certainly a strong number to get in there as well. So an important key race. It is a prep for the Louisiana Derby at a mile and 3/16, but certainly a win and you're in for the Kentucky Derby itself as well. I agree with you. Victory Formation, the one to beat. I haven't done the work enough yet to say if I want 3-1 or not, but I don't know. This field in a race that has produced some bombs in the past, I think I'm going to end up going hunting when push comes to shove.
Yeah, I glanced at it for a minute. I'd be shocked if Victory Formation got its own lead. I mean, Harlow Cap's got speed. There's some other
Oh yeah,
horses in
there's
here with
plenty
real.
of speed in here.
Yeah, and he's breaking from 13. I do like that the Fairgrounds has distance in their preps. To this day, I don't understand why Aqueduct still does the Withers back to the Gotham, back to the Wood distance, mile and
Yeah,
eighth, mile and 9. So I do like how the Fairgrounds progresses with their distances. There's one horse in there too that he's a maiden, is Cruppy. I would watch that horse because, or Cruppy, he never breaks. If he ever breaks one day, have decent. He would be a horse. He ran a really good race last time, so I think he's an interesting maiden coming into the race. But it looks like a really good betting race. And you brought up buyers. That's why I didn't have anybody from the Sam F. Davis on my list. That race was
that
won
was
by
bad.
Litigate. Yeah, 76 buyers aren't getting you to the Derby.
No,
I guess he got 20 points, so he's gonna have to board another prep. But that's why, if anybody was wondering, though, Sam F. Davis horse was not on my list because that was not the best figure.
no, agreed. And I do believe in the numbers. I mean, even I know horses like Rich Strike and Mind That Bird do jump up and win, but at this stage of the year, like you're not looking for a 76. No, I don't care who you are, who you're
No, I
training.
agree with you 100%. And Wonder Wheel even got beat. So going onto the Oaks Trail, that was a interesting upset as well. So I'm taking the whole Tampa Bay first day at Tampa Bay preps. I'm tossing those out the window. Those horses are going to
Right.
have to improve
Well,
going forward for me.
speaking of the Oaks Trail, kind of walking two paths right now, and we'll see what happens in the Rachel Alexandra. I did notice that Hoosier Philly did not make your top 10 list. Certainly, from a wagering perspective, underlay of the century at 11 or 12-1, whatever she closed at, just a ridiculous price on a filly who is going to
He
have
was
to
the
face
favorite for a
nails at
while.
some point. Yeah, she was a favorite, individual favorite. I have always thought she's better than, I shouldn't say always thought. In the last 2 months, I've thought she is the better filly than Julia Shining. The numbers sort of back that up. And certainly what we saw this weekend didn't dissuade me from that. But man, that is some serious dough that she took in a future wager in February before she's even made her 3-year-old debut. I'm excited to see her. I'm glad I'll be there, but definitely a wait and see approach for me.
Yeah, this is the best field she's also faced by far. The field she beat in Kentucky were not that great. She's never really been set down, so I don't know how she's going to react when she has to be set down. She's going to have with Chop in the race, and the Pletcher horse doesn't have the best figures, but she at least has speed. So there's going to be some pace in there. Chop Chop Kim's coming off an 88 buyer. I think she's getting blinkers on. So she's definitely facing her best field. And I know it's not the end goal for her, but Hoosier Philly's a little overhyped in my opinion. She's never ran faster than 82. I know she was only a 2-year-old and she never really, maybe when she is that, she'll be even better. So I think it's an interesting race to watch. And kind of compared to Wonder Wheel, who was also, I just don't know if the fillies were that great. It's at 2. Obviously, they can all improve, but we'll see. Julia Shiny's an interesting horse. Sayas had to be tired after that race. I mean, he literally rode that horse the entire way around the racetrack. So she's a horse. I'm not Todd Pletcher, so maybe they'll put blinkers on her going forward because she's just straight bicycle. So we'll see with her.
All right. Well, we will see, and we'll see you again later this week, hopefully after a win against Collins this evening for the North Oldham Mustangs. And we're definitely going to be looking to win on that pick 5 carryover at Aqueduct. That's the early pick 5.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The
$250,000.
I glanced at it. It looks. Yeah, it looks. And it's funny. There was a bomb in the last race of the late pick 5 that would have carried the late pick 5 also. He obviously didn't win, but that was a crazy day of results. So I'm guessing they have a pick 6 carryover as well.
They do.
So they're going to have a lot of action at Aqueduct.
Yeah,
on Friday. And the pick 5 looks decent.
I'm not sure what their record is in February at Aqueduct, but I have to think they're gonna approach it with these kind of eyes on those races.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be, I would guess the pick 5 pool gets over $1 million because I think that, I don't know this for a fact, but does early pick 5s do they get more bet in than late pick 5s? Or maybe late pick 5s have taken over now?
Yeah, I think in New York, the early used to, because it used to be the late was only restricted to on track and Naira bets.
Yes.
Now that it's open, the late gets more. I think in California, you sometimes see the early do better. A, the takeout's lower, and B, the early goes off when the Eastern tracks are still going on, so you get that overlap. So I could see that in California, but yeah, for the most part, anywhere else, it's the late. But not on Friday.
So, I think the pick 5 will be over $1 million, and then is the pick 6 a double carryover?
No,
yeah, pick 6 a double carryover.
No,
is it just one? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of action at Aqueduct.
It carried into Withers Day, and then it got hit, and then Sunday it didn't get hit.
Okay. That's what it was.
So
gotcha. Well,
all right. Well, appreciate dishing with me.
Had fun. So looks like I would say this weekend is where Derby preps really start to heat up. I saw Cave Rock Works for the first time yesterday, so he's starting to make his way back. So all the good horses look like they're starting to come back out of the woodworks.
Yeah, we haven't had any huge defections yet, I don't think. So hopefully keep them sound and keep it interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't think there hasn't been any big defections yet. I'm sure it's coming now since you said it. So I'm sure I'll get on Twitter and it's coming now.
Yeah, we'll end this and someone will be out, but nature of the beast. So, all right, well, we will talk again later this week for pick 5. In the meantime, that's your top 10. I look at it, the Risen Star. Best of luck.